Welcome, dear listeners, to Season of Tears, the podcast that delves into the untold stories of one of the darkest chapters in Sri Lankan history. It has been 40 years since this tragic event. Stay tuned. I'm Shami.
That's right, Shami. I am Sugat, and alongside my co host Shami, we will be your guides on this emotional journey. We'll be shining a light on the forgotten tales of resilience and hope from the victims of 1983 riots, also known as Black July.
As many of you may already know, the tragic events that unfolded that week began in the north of Sri Lanka, in Jaffna, where the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, or the LTTE, carried out an attack on the Sri Lankan army in Tirunelveli, close to Jaffna, on the night of the 23rd of July. 13 soldiers were killed. The Tigers claimed that the attack was in retaliation to the killing of one of their founding members, Charles Anthony, and the alleged rape of 3 women inside an army camp. The following day, on the 24th, the government decided to bring the bodies to Colombo for burial. Initially, the bodies of the dead soldiers were to be handed over to their families for burial in their respective villages. But then, it was later decided to hold a mass funeral for the soldiers at 5 p.m. Slowly but surely, a crowd started building up at Borella in anticipation of the arrival of the bodies. When night fell, by 7 p.m., and the bodies had still not arrived at the cemetery, scuffles broke out between the people and the police. As the situation grew more and more tense, it was decided to cancel the funerals and hand over the bodies to the families. The crowd got to know this only by about 10 o'clock that night. Angry and frustrated, they poured into the streets, heading towards Borella. One of the first targets was the Tamil-owned Nagalingam stores. What followed was a night, days, and weeks of complete chaos.
Season of Tears is a platform where voices of victims can be finally heard. We have spent months researching and gathering accounts from survivors, witnesses, and families affected by the riot. These stories, filled with emotions, courage, and the unbreakable human spirit, will paint a clear picture of the realities faced during those dark times 40 years ago.
Each episode will feature a story where we share from interviews, posts, and recordings of personal experiences and reflections. We'll hear first-hand accounts of loss, fear, and the struggle for justice. But we'll also highlight the remarkable acts of compassion, unity, and the pursuit of healing.
Through these stories, we aim to foster empathy and understanding, as we believe that by listening to the past, we can learn lessons for our future. Our hope is that Season of Tears will inspire conversations, bridge divides, and ultimately contribute to a more compassionate society.
So whether you are a history enthusiast, seeker of truth, or simply someone who wants to honor the resilience of human spirit, join us on this gripping journey through time.
Mark your calendars for first episode of Season of Tears. Together, let's give voice to the forgotten and ensure that their stories are never lost to the sands of time.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon on the Season of Tears 1983 stories.